Welcome, you guys. I'm stoked for our webinar today. I had texted Wendy, who I've known for years, and I was like, are you still the call center lead? She's like, yup, still here.
Still here after all these years. I'm still doing it, girl.
I love it. Welcome, Wendy. Wendy works for Bellus Academy, a 4-campus school that offers all the beauty programs. I happened to work for them years ago, so that's how I know Wendy. But Wendy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My goodness. Okay, well, I started my journey with Bellus like clear back in 2006, I want to say. It was a long time ago. It's back where you still found your job out of a newspaper, if that gives you any idea.
Is that how you found your job at Bellus?
That's how I found it. It was advertised in the newspaper. That's how like Bellus dinosaur that I am. So I literally had no experience, no background in admissions. But the job sounded fun, right? So I wanted to interview, and I came in like a few months after Linnell, who's our president, kind of took over and everything, and she did my interview, and she knew I didn't have any experience, but you know, it was by the hand of God that you know, they decided to give me a chance, and it was great. And I started out, it's our Chula Vista campus, but it was located in National City. So I started out as a baby admissions rep over there and learned the ropes. And I've been really, really lucky at Bellus because I have been surrounded by some very supportive people, like through my journey and, you know, over the years that have really, you know, supported me and taught me. I was the admissions rep. There was a girl, Becky Dominguez, that did financial aid, and I just learned. And so I spent time as an admissions rep over there, and then I moved to the Poway campus. I've worked as a floater, so I've also worked at our El Cajon campus. So I've been at all of them basically, you know, doing admissions work. And then about 7 years ago, all my kids graduated high school, and I really kind of got to a place where I was like, I want to move back north, back home to Northern California.
The middle of nowhere.
Into the middle of nowhere, right? Where my family is, and just kind of spend some more time like with my family. So it's kind of in this weird conundrum between, I really love my job at Bellus, but you know, I want to move home. And so a job in the call center opened up. And our positions have always been remote. So I like to tell people I've been working from home pre-pandemic, like before it was cool, before it was a thing. And so, you know, Bellus was gracious enough to let me, you know, move into that call center position. And that allowed me to then, you know, move back to Northern California. And then about 2 years ago, I got promoted to lead. Our director, Tracy Jones, came on board, and she's been great. And she didn't know what a call center really did when she first got on board. But, you know, luckily Linnell, that's been her baby. We've had a call center since I think about 2008.
Yeah, long before schools were doing call centers.
Yeah, it was new. It was weird.
But that is Bellus. Like that right there also sums up Bellus Academy to me. It's trying new things, thinking outside the box, doing something that no one's done. We've had the pleasure actually of having Tracy on a webinar. It was fantastic. She is great. Let's talk a little bit about Bellus Academy and like the makeup of the admissions team and how it works, okay? Because there are 4 campuses, 3 in California, 1 in Manhattan, Kansas. And how, like, there's reps on the ground there, and how many? How does it work right now?
So right now we've got 1 at the Manhattan, Kansas campus. We have 1 at our El Cajon campus, and then there's 2 reps at our Poway campus, and there's 2 reps at our Chula Vista campus.
And that's because the population is big there?
Correct. So Poway and Chula Vista are like our big ginormous schools, and then El Cajon's and Manhattan a little bit smaller. So we just have 1 rep at each one of those locations.
Okay, great. And then there's a overall director of admissions, which is Tracy.
Yes.
Okay. And then how many people are in your call center?
So there's three. There would be myself and Nicole and Julia. Now, Julia did just get promoted to be a rep, but typically there's three of us.
Typically, there's three of you. Okay. So there are reps on the ground everywhere. We have the call center team. We have a director of admissions, just so everyone on this webinar today can kind of understand the landscape, you know, of how Bellus works. Okay, great. So let's chat a little bit, Wendy. I want to talk about how, first of all, you hear call center, you know, even I did. And I was like, what are we like? Are they reps in another country? What is going on? You know what I mean? And I know
do they speak English? Yes, I know, right?
Yeah. Exactly. So, you know, this phrase call center, for lack of another word, it's essentially like an appointment setter. You guys are the first touch for the lead.
Yes. So we actually have a fancy title for our call center, and our titles are actually admission support coordinators. That's what we call ourselves. So if you hear me say admission support or admission support coordinator interchangeably with the call center, because when I hear the word call center, and I do use it, but I kind of just envision people with a headset sitting in a corner, you know, just da 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 da. But really, we do so much more than just make phone calls and set appointments. We are admission support. So our job and our goal is really to support our reps that are in admissions. We love our reps. As you know, admissions rep have some of the toughest jobs that there is. They're under a lot of pressure every day to hit their goals, to make their numbers, to do all the things that they need to do. So we really take it as a personal responsibility and admission support to do everything that we can to do stuff on the back end to make sure that they're supported. And I can go into what that is.
We will get to all those things. And just so you guys know, we have a chat open. Tracy said, hey, in the chat. If you guys want to put anything in there, if you have questions, we will get to them. And we're going to keep this casual, kind of like we've been doing our webinars. I call it podcast style. We're not sharing slides. This is going to be recorded. It'll be sent to you. So just, you know, lay back and have some lunch and just watch a conversation between us. And if you you know, put them in the chat. Let's talk a little bit about division of labor and how you guys work leads versus the reps. So start me off. As soon as a lead hits the CRM, what happens? Whose lead is it?
Where does it go? Just kidding. Okay, so glad that you asked. So really kind of the big stipulation that we have in the call center is to please let us work that hot lead. So a lead comes in and it will be assigned to a campus and it will be assigned to a rep. But the way that we have it set up in the call center is we have it divided by campus. So for example, myself, I usually work El Cajon and Kansas. Those are two smaller schools and they get probably less leads because I have other.
We're talking about smaller schools because there already is a question right here in the chat about small colleges versus big ones. Can this work with a small college? Absolutely. So those smaller campuses around 150 population.
Yeah. Probably.
150. Yeah. Okay. And then the bigger schools aim to be around the 300 mark.
300. Yeah. 300 plus, I think is what they are hoping to be at. Yeah. So, fantastic. Yeah. So, so if it's an El Cajon or it's a Kansas lead, I know that that's my lead to work, right? If it's Chula Vista, it goes to Nicole. Nicole, we get a huge amount of leads coming in for a Chula Vista campus. Nicole, I call her the appointment ninja. She's a powerhouse. So she gets in and she can, you know, bust through those leads and book them. And then, Julia was taking Poway and booking for those. So we keep it organized by campus in the call center. And the reason why we like to book the leads first in the call center is a few things. Number one, if you have a rep and the rep is super busy, right? Let's say they've got 7 or 8 appointments booked, they've got financial aid appointments, and a hot lead comes in. If they're in an appointment, are they going to have time to pick up the phone and call the lead and chit chat with them and develop rapport and do all that stuff if they've got somebody sitting in front of them or they're doing a phone interview or whatever? No. So it would make sense for us because we're like glued to our computers, we're like, boom, on our computers, literally don't move in there all day working, right? So
Yeah.
we like to take it first because, we're going to probably reach them first. The other reason why we like to call them first is quality control. So we like to be able to, ask them the questions, are you 18? Do you have your high school diploma? What campus are you interested in? Because sometimes a lead will come in for Poway and they really live closer to Chula Vista and that's better for them. So all of these things are things that, eat up time for the reps.
Yep.
So if we as a call center can step in, qualify them, make sure that, they're eligible, that all this stuff lines up, and then we can book that appointment for the rep. We try to focus on getting them the new business.
Another reason, Wendy, I like it is because if you're looking at the funnel for admissions, like, that first phone call, booking a tour, showing up for the tour, it's not often you find a seasoned rep who is good at all those different areas. There's some reps that shine in person, and schools that are smaller that have 2 reps, I think it's even a good idea to try move one of those to being the appointment center. Have one of those people, because when you are calling every day, you become really, really good at it. And it becomes a numbers game and you're trying to book for that other person. So maybe instead of having 2 reps, work, just kind of go back and forth, it might be good to try one out just as the appointment center where they can work part-time remotely, come in to fill in for tours and that type of thing.
Yeah, you really have to figure out what works for you and what works best for your campus because every campus is different, right? And we know that. We know that in the call center, like we talk about it all the time. What works for one campus might not necessarily work for another or one rep or whatever. So you have to be aware of what's happening. You got to know your audience, right? You got to be aware of all the little nuances and the demographics and just, how things go. And like you said, we do this all day. So we know how to talk to people, kind of take our time, get to know them, but a lot of it too is just matching energy. When you get on the phone with someone, you can pretty much tell right away if that person wants to talk to you or not.
Yeah.
And if not, you have to figure out ways to kind of try and engage with them. And
I know, curious,
yes.
how many of them end up to be parents? Like moms?
A lot of them. And,
yeah.
a lot of it is seasonal too. So you kind of start knowing like, March, April, May, you start getting like closer to graduation and you start getting the, I'm calling for, information for my daughter or my grandson or my whatever,
Right.
or, I have this kid living at home and they need to do something. So I thought,
I always wondered that, how often that happens. And I would, like you said, I would assume like, come the summertime when everyone's going back to school in the fall, the parents are like, you need to do something with your life.
Yeah.
Because we know for a fact that happens at Beauty School's directory. A lot of times it's the parent filling out a form.
Yeah, all the time. So, and those calls are fun, but again, it's good when we are able to do that because sometimes these people want to talk like, 15, 20-minute conversation where you're kind of like walking them through, telling them what we have to offer, and really spending that time, talking to them about a career in wellness and beauty and how that is a real job and a real career, especially when it's a parent and, those types of things where, a rep, again, if a rep has, 5 or 6 appointments, couple of financial aids, has a student, students going in and out of their offices all day, that's us. That's what we do. Then that's, we're that support to try and field some of those phone calls and some of those conversations to make it easier for the rep.
So once you set the appointment, it is then handed, you're setting the appointment for the rep.
Yes.
And let's say it's a a no-show. Who is then following up? Is it you or is it the rep?
So we, whoever sets the appointment, like we and call center, because we're very like did they show, did they not show? Like, we take it very seriously.
Yeah.
I get offended if I set an appointment and then they no show the rep. So
Right. You're like, I had this great connection. I know
yes.
her daughter's
Yeah, I'm
name.
like, what the heck? Why didn't you show up? Like,
Right.
I'm like, hey. So usually in the call center, like, we're monitoring it to see if they showed or no showed. If they're a no show, then we're usually on it. Now, usually, the rep will immediately, if it's a phone appointment, like text, like, hey, it's so and so from whatever campus. I've been, I tried to reach you for our,
Okay.
2 p.m. phone appointment. Or if it's like on campus, hey, they'll call, they'll leave a message, and then they'll send a text like, hey, I tried to reach you, let's reschedule. And then we go back in, and we usually in the call center, we follow up with them too, to try to get them to reschedule. Because
So what if there is a no contact on that new lead? So you weren't able to get a hold of them. Is it you in call center following up with these leads, or are you hand holding it and doing it also with?
so once we have reached out, and if there are no contact, then at that point it's really up to both admissions and the call center to work leads, right?
Okay.
So the only real big stipulation that we ask is, like, please let us, try to work that hot lead initially, because we want to try to qualify it, do all the stuff that work our little magic, and get that going. But then at that point, it's like, we work hand in hand with the reps. So, if the reps have a slow day, then they are expected to get in and work their leads. I do like to have really good communication. So if we're doing like a mass email, or we're doing a mass text, I
Yeah.
like to let the reps know, or I also ask the reps, like, hey, if you're planning on mass texting your leads, like, let us know, so that we're not stepping on toes. Because I think it looks sloppy if I send someone a text message, and then 10 minutes later the rep sends them a text message. You know what I mean?
Communication is the key. If you're going to
Yes.
be working hand in hand here, we don't want to be sending double text.
Yeah.
I think that's great. Okay.
There's an art to reaching out to your leads, but not, I feel like, not reaching out to them so much that they eventually are like opting out. Like,
Agreed.
right? I don't want them like telling me, take me off your list, don't
Yeah.
contact me again, like,
Yeah.
I try to avoid that. So
And then what about old leads? So ones that are in the system for a while, do you have nurturing campaigns that are more
yes,
responsible for that, as opposed to you guys calling a lead from a year ago?
we do. And we do call them from a year ago too. We have automated, so we work really closely with marketing, which is awesome.
Yep.
And we've even been, we're constantly developing like new emails and new things to send out that would be fun and eye-catching. So we do have nurturing campaigns that go out automatically. And then, sometimes it just depends on the time of year too. So it'll be like, okay, let's reach out to, like, because we meet every day. My call center team, we meet every day, and we strategize on what is coming up. I let them know, like, this is what happened at the marketing meeting. This is the stuff that we need to work on, focus on, whatever. But like, if it's getting close to graduation, like, hey, let's go in the system. Let's pull up all of our, 2023 grads. Let's reach out to those people. Or, we've got this great scholarship, so let's do a mass text and let everyone know about the July scholarship. So we're constantly trying to be creative and thinking of ways to work our old leads, and to work
Sure.
them, and to try all the methods, because not everybody wants a phone call.
Some want a
Not
phone
everybody
call,
wants a
some want
text.
a text.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are always really good about that. One of the questions I know I get when I talk to schools about having a call center is, formal admissions training will tell you building rapport is the most important thing, right?
Right.
Like, you
Yeah.
mirror, you match, all
Yeah.
seasoned reps will know when I'm meeting with someone, I want to get to know them. I say, tell me your story, tell me a little bit about you. That is always the best sales tactic and the best admissions tactic. So to that point, you're the one building rapport, and then they're not even meeting with you. So how does that handoff go? Tell us a little bit about that dynamic.
Right. So it's a little tricky sometimes, because you get someone on the phone, right? And they just want to know like the basic info. Like, sometimes it's like, well, how much does it cost? When do classes start? Like,
Yeah.
like just give me the info and like get off the phone, right? So how do you transition from like that to actually getting the appointment booked? So, you do have to kind of learn how to dangle the carrot a little bit when you're talking with them. So, you want to try to like, oh, so great. I see that you're interested in, aesthetics. And so usually they'll start kind of engaging. Yeah, it's something that I've been thinking about doing, blah, blah, blah. And then, so you kind of just start talking to them but you don't let it go too far because you don't want it to, spill into
You're
like,
like, don't fall in love with
yeah,
me.
exactly.
We're not going
You don't want it to spill into an
yeah.
admissions like interview, right? So most of the time, I will usually interject with, great, well, we want to get you all the information. We want to talk to you about, how exciting aesthetics can be. We have admissions advisors and they love to get you all the information and see if we're a good fit for you. So, so then I go into like, we offer phone appointments and virtual tours. Or the way that I like to do it, since I'm a visual person, I like to see it, touch it, smell it, feel it. Come visit us. You want to come on campus and check us out and just, see if we're.
So they know as you're booking the appointment, hey, you're not going to be meeting with me. You're going to be meeting with
Yes, someone
Allison,
else.
and she's amazing. You'll Christy, you'll love her. Like you're saying that person's name and you're like setting up that relationship ahead of time.
Correct. So they know that they're going to be meeting with somebody that's not. Now, occasionally you'll get people that are confused and weren't really paying attention.
Sure.
They're like, can't wait to meet you, Wendy. And you're like, oh, I'm not going to be there, but all right. But after we book too, then we always send a follow-up text saying, it's a pleasure speaking with you today. You're all set for a whatever type of appointment at, with so-and-so at such and such campus. Here's the address. Here's what to do, check in at the front desk, ask for this person. We look forward to meeting you and sharing more of what Bellus has to offer. So, we always want to make sure that they know exactly what to expect. Or, Megan from the Kansas campus is going to call you at, 10 a.m. on Tuesday, June, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So they know it's coming.
Is Megan still at Kansas, by the way?
Megan is still at Kansas.
You know what? Can I just side note
7 years. 7 years.
So many schools just have such turnover in admissions. And I think that speaks very highly of the leadership at Bellus that you guys have these reps that have been there forever.
Yeah. Well, Christy's been at Chula Vista for what, 12 years? Something like that.
That is wild. I mean,
I know. Yeah.
That speaks very highly of your culture and the fact that you guys have built this little family and that you believe in the mission, you believe in the school. So that right there is really cool. I actually want to brag on your team. I want to dive into the numbers because I'm sure there are people on here like, what does this even mean? Can I get way more? Let's talk about conversion rates and let's talk about how many appointments you guys set and how many actually show up. Because that's another thing you hear. I don't want a call center. It's impersonal. And then there's going to be a 30% show rate. So let's chat about, I know you got the numbers. What do you guys do at Bellus?
So I ran numbers actually for all of 2022 and so far for what we've done for this year. So in 2022, we had 7,672 leads come in.
Okay.
Out of that, we booked 4,494 total appointments. So that is 59% of the incoming
From lead to tour appointment.
Correct. Now, out of that number, call center booked 3,350 of those, or 75% of the appointments that were set by the call center.
Wow. Okay. 75%. So okay.
Yeah. And then as a whole, 3,380 of those showed. So we had a 75% show rate.
That is ridiculous.
To our appointments.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we can just talk about the book tour rate, back that up for a second. Most schools right now have a contact rate strategy of 50 to 60%. They want to, for every lead they get, right? For every 100 leads, I want to talk to 50 or 60 of these. That is usually the goal. What you guys are saying is that's actually what we're booking. It's not.
Yeah, no, that's what we're booking. I mean, we contact a lot more that don't book, that aren't ready
Of
or
course.
whatever, or
Which
blah, blah.
right there means
Yeah.
a lot, right? I
Yeah.
mean, that number right there is so outstanding. And that's why I wanted to acknowledge that. Again, most schools are looking for a 60% contact rate, maybe a little higher. You're at a 60% booking rate from lead, which is so incredible. How are your show rates good? Give us your secrets.
Honestly, I kind of I feel like it starts at the beginning. So I feel like, with admission support, like we try to take the right, we know that admissions is sales, right? And we know that we have goals to meet, and we try to meet them, right? But I think it's also about sales, but not being salesy, and trying to, like, hey, I know you're interested because you filled out this form, right? So I know you're interested, you have some interest, but most people, are, usually when they get a sales call, they're like, nope, nope, don't want to buy, like, go away, So
Yeah.
I think we try to make it so it's like, hey, give us a shot. We know you're interested. We want to see if we're a good fit for you or not. If we're not, it's okay, like, give us a shot. And so I think it's just about being real with people, being kind to people, treating someone. I always try to treat someone the way that I would want to be treated if I was interested in a school, or I have kids. If my daughter was going to a school, I would want that same kind of approach. And also being honest with people, like, if they ask for certain things, like, we tell them, and then we explain to them if they have objections on how to overcome them.
So
So
you
I
want
think,
gatekeeping schedules and price of tuition. You're telling
no,
that,
I mean, if somebody
which
really
I
wants
love.
to know that, I mean, we don't
Sure.
lead with that. We try
No.
to leave that up to the admissions advisor. But if I get someone on the phone and they're like, I just want to know that, and and they're very like, "Mer," I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll just give it to you and we'll talk about it. And then
But
most
what
of
I do love is what you just said, that like, let's not worry about price and schedule. Why don't you just even see if we're a fit for you?
well, that's my whole thing.
Just
I'm
come
like,
in.
check us out, see if you like us, give
Yeah.
us a shot. Like, see if we're a good fit. And if we are, great. And if we're not, like, totally get it, that's fine. But so I think that really helps with the show rates, is if they know that they can come in and check everything out and get the information, and they're not going to be like immediately like, sign here and do this now, because it is a huge decision. And I acknowledge that when I'm talking to people, like, hey, this is a big decision. You want to make sure that, that we're the right fit for you, that we are, and I am so confident. I've been with Bellus for 15 years, and I'm so confident in what we offer, and our reps and our instructors and our
Sure.
support staff, that I don't worry about like them comparing us to a competitor or whatever, because I'm like,
You welcome it.
I
You're
know
like,
what we have to
"Hey, go
offer.
check
I
it
know
out."
that it's
Yeah.
good. I believe in what we do, or I wouldn't be here for 15 years.
Another super important part of admissions, right? Like, not only do you need to kind of know those programs inside out, really know what you're selling, but you need to believe in what you're selling, because that will come across if you do not believe yourself in the product. Wendy, what are your hours for call center? Are you covering some of those late night weekends, or you just working the 9 to 5s? What are you guys doing there?
Yeah, so we're all over the place. Yeah, so we do work some varied hours. I'm usually more of the early bird, and that's changed over the years. I used to work kind of later hours. So I'm usually in 7:30, 8 o'clock, but I also work Kansas, and they're 2 hours ahead. So when I get in at
Right.
my earlier time, then that allows me to catch up on emails. I can start working Kansas leads and get the other stuff on my calendar that I need to get on for the day. Nicole, she usually works Monday through Saturday, and she works early mornings, and then she'll usually take a break in the afternoon, and then she'll work night times. And so she's kind of all over the place. And then Julia was kind of more working like Monday through Friday. And then a lot of times I will come in on Sunday and work a half day. Like last Sunday, I worked for like 4 hours just to reach out to leads, get stuff set up and prepped for Monday. So we really do kind of work 7 days a week. Sometimes it's 6, depending on, because we're not like, we're compassionate too, let people have time off to spend time with their families, but we really are up in the leads a lot. But having the ability to be remote is really great, because you just flip open your computer and you're like, what's going on? Let me check in, let me catch up with this person. You can check your text. You can,
it really is great if you have an amazing rep who is like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm sick of coming to school every day. If they are very talented people, offer them a remote position appointment setting. I know now several schools that have done that.
Yeah. And I just want to speak to being remote in this position, because a lot of times I know, like now after the whole COVID thing, like there's a pushback to get everybody back on campus. And I understand that, because you got to meet with the students, but the call center job, you really need to be remote, or you need to be somewhere very quiet.
Yeah,
because
no distractions. Good point.
No distractions, because you are constantly in the call center. Like we are either making a call, or we have a call coming in, or we're looking at our text messages, or we're sending emails, or we're on Teams, or we're on a chat line, or we're very multitasking. So to be on campus and have students coming into your office, or other people like trying to chit chat with you, you can't get any work done. When I went remote, I was like, wow, look at how much stuff I can actually get done.
That said, it's also good if you have a rep that goes on vacation for a week or two, you can bring in one of those call center people.
Well, that's also what we do. So we've had instances for, over the last several years where we've had reps go out for various reasons. And so call center has stepped in and done phone appointments and done, sent the enrollment paperwork and entered people, and has really done the work of a rep, other than we're not on campus. But we've had to step in and do a lot of the same responsibilities that a rep would have. So if you trainer support staff, we're invaluable. I mean, literally, especially when somebody goes out unexpectedly, to be able to step in and fill in and cover that is really great. Or even when somebody calls out sick, or whatever the case may be. So
I think that's awesome. More hands on deck there. I will tell you, and thank you, Tracy Jones, for answering a question to the other Tracy in our chat about pay. It's going to vary, obviously, depending on where you are. Wendy's been there for 15 years. I would assume she's not getting paid minimum wage. But I also put a link to a YouTube video for our past webinar, where we chatted about what the averages are for different admissions positions, just so that everyone kind of knows what the national average is, and then what it is specifically for beauty schools, what an admissions director is, what a rep is. So I would highly encourage you to watch that webinar, and even just, fast forward closer.
That was a great one, Jen. I watched it and I loved it. Yeah.
Becky was great. Yeah, she was our guest on that one. And so we really went into that. Let's talk a little bit about your personal benchmarks and goals. Do you guys have weekly goals for, we need this many appointments set? What's expected of you?
Well, we've been this is going to sound braggy, but I'm just going to say it. We've been so good at our job that we kind of always try to at least set 100 appointments a week. That's kind of like our goal overall. If we're not setting, I'm not kidding. If we're not setting 100 appointments a week, I'm like, what happened? Like what's going on with lead flow or whatever. So we, I would say what I try to personally keep tabs on is to try to do a 50% from lead to appointment. And then I like to have at least a 70% show rate if possible, because that's just,
Yeah.
you know, nobody's like held me, you know, nobody's like,
We want to rep essentially,
but,
I mean, if you're breaking that down, 25 per school, which obviously, you know, some are going to have way more depending on how busy they are.
yeah,
But we're wanting reps to have around 4 appointments a day. Is that kind of
oh
the goal?
yeah, and some reps have more than that. I mean, yeah, it really just kind of you know, there's so many factors that go into it. So of course, leads, amount of leads that you get, and then quality leads. So
Sure.
if you're not getting quality leads, you're not going to be booking appointments. You know, if you're getting trash leads, I just want to say that right now. So keep an eye on your, you know, on the quality of your leads, which is
When
another
book
thing.
rates go down, then we know
Yes.
that the
Yeah.
quality isn't as good. And one of
Isn't
the
as
things
good.
I do want to mention, because we had Tracy, who's the director of admissions at Bellus, on a webinar a couple months back. And I had asked the question, like I just asked you, what are your benchmarks? What are your goals? And I loved her answer, because it was like, yeah, we have these general goals, but like, I don't have to be on the team, because they are self-starters, and
Yeah.
you don't micromanage people who are doing a good job. You
Correct.
micromanage people who are not doing well. And
Right.
so from when I asked you, what are your benchmarks and goals? You're like, well, I mean, we like to do 100, but like, we're killing it. So no one's breathing down your neck is what you're telling me.
Right. Yeah. And you know, I mean, it's like, you know, we feel pretty good about our numbers every week. If they start to dip at all, like we're like, what's happening? Like, you know, so we kind of self-monitor and self-regulate, and you know, and have these conversations. But because like, okay, so Tracy brought me in, and she brought me into like the marketing meeting. And so I've been able to really speak to lead quality, because I'm like, hey,
Let's chat about that. Let's
I'm
chat
on
about
the phone with these people. I'm smiling and dialing. So
Yeah.
I can tell you, you know,
No
whether they're
one
good
knows
leaders.
like Wendy, and I do want to chat with you right now about a few different marketing sources and
Yeah.
where we can get leads from. Let's first acknowledge the best type of lead on the market. There's nothing better than a referral.
Correct.
Nothing beats it. They're free, other than the cost of education and a great culture. We love a referral, right? Like referrals always going to be, they're always going to convert best. My friend already wants to go here. I already told her everything about the school. You're
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, let's book her an appointment. Okay, done. Thank you. Yeah.
Exactly. We love a referral.
Yeah.
The second best type of lead, you guys, is always going to be your website.
Correct.
And when you look at your sources, you're seeing that too, right, Wendy? Website is your best digital lead.
Yeah, always. If they can go and fill out our little form on our website, you know, 9 times out of 10, if they put in their correct phone number, we can, you know, we'll get them booked at some point. So
an average beauty school, you know, conversion on leads is usually around 15%. I think Bellus's is higher, but you know, it really depends on how many leads you're getting, where they're coming from, where you're spending money. Website is always going to be the best type of digital lead. Your second best type of digital lead is usually going to be your paid ads. And you know, like your Google ads. And that is because you're driving people to branded pages. They see your logo on there. They know what they're filling out. But I want to talk a little bit about BSD, not just because I work here, but because I feel like BSD kind of doesn't have the best reputation with a lot of schools. And Wendy, we were talking about this before. I was at Bellus, I don't know, however long ago, 8 years ago, where we cut BSD. Do you remember this?
yes, I do.
But I also remember Bellus being like, we always cut it, and then we bring, because they like to try different. But at the end of the day, we brought it back because they were cheap. One, you know, they're really cheap, especially
they are. Yes.
Which is great.
Yes.
And then another reason we brought it back was because the cost per enrollment was so low, where it's like, sometimes you got to weed through the bad, but like if you're spending at the end of the day $500 to get a $20,000 enrollment, sign me up.
Correct.
So I want to chat about BSD specifically with Bellus. Tell us about your experience.
Okay, first of all, we love our BSD leads. We love our relationship with BSD, even though like sometimes through the years of, like maybe the quality here and there or whatever, but I will say consistently, especially the last several years. And I don't know if it's because Jen, you got over there and
Exactly what it is.
you worked some magic, you did something.
I'll take credit.
But no, we love our BSD, and here's why. Okay, yes, they are cheap. Number two, if there is a problem with the lead, you guys have set it up like certain parameters where, like we're able to return it. If it's, they're not, they don't speak English or they don't have their high school diploma. So it's kind of a no-brainer, but they are quality. They convert. So, I mean, it's not rocket science. When you look at our top 3 things that work for us best, it's our website, it's our Google ads, and it's our BSD leads. And so we love our beauty school directory, and I don't know why other schools are not on the bandwagon. I would, I mean, I think recently we just upped our budget and we signed up for your Web Pro.
Yeah, Web Conversion Pro. Yeah.
Thingamabob that we haven't got to use yet, but no, we're huge fans and we love them and their quality and they convert for us. So
But let's chat really quick about how you might work a BSD lead, because it's possible, Wendy, when you're calling them, they don't even know that Bellus Academy exists. They did not go to the Bellus website. They were on a directory, which you guys have a CRM where you already know you're calling a BSD lead. You already know you're calling a Bellus website lead.
Right.
So does that change your conversation a little bit to start?
It can. It can, depending on if the person doesn't know like who we are. So if you call a BSD lead and they're like, and it's like, hey, it's Wendy calling from the Bellus Academy, and they're like, where? And, and so then I'll be like, oh, Bellus Academy, or, depending on what program, we're the cosmetology school that you had requested information from. Or, oh, okay. And so that can actually be like a conversation starter where, you start talking, well, I'm kind of shopping around schools right now. Great. That's fantastic that you're out, like you're going to inform yourself. You're gathering the information you need to make an informed decision. That's a smart thing to do. I would do the same thing. If I was looking for a school, I would want to, contrast and compare and see what was out there. So, we would love the opportunity to get to share with you everything that Bellus has to offer and see if we're a good fit. So, are you able to come in and check us out? We book Monday through Friday, what works best for you. And it's just, you just kind of have a semi-organic conversation. And I don't know, maybe because I've just been doing it for a long time, but it doesn't seem hard to me. And then you just talk to people and you get them more relaxed and kind of chit chat with them. And if they say that they're shopping schools, believe them, because they are shopping schools. So they're probably going to go check out 2 or 3 places, and you can't feel threatened by that. You have to just embrace it, in my opinion, and be like, great, you have to believe in your own academy enough to be okay with somebody that wants to go shop a school. Okay.
I think that's great. I think that's really, really good advice. And not all of them will answer the phone. I've heard this from several schools. A lot of them are really good at texting you back because, usually, they requested information generally on a phone. And sometimes they're so high in their search, right? BSD leads are like top of funnel. They just Googled something. So they're higher in the funnel. And sometimes a text message, whether it's BSD or just your own, is a little less intimidating than getting on the phone with someone. There was a question that popped up in the chat. I want to go ahead and address it right now.
Yeah.
Someone said that they used BSD before, and when they talked to the lead, they would almost get annoyed because multiple schools had already talked to them. Let me clear up how BSD works. Yes, in some areas, your lead will be shared. The max we share a lead with is up to 4 schools. That is rare. So the average share rate is between 1.5 and 1.8. Usually leads are seeing around 2 schools. It's not 10, it's not 12. It's always, it's a max of 4. And
that's why you got your call center in there. So when you get a BSD lead, you're on it first, right? You're calling,
which is what Nicole just typed in. She said,
that's my girl.
We called them within 5 minutes, so I'm there first.
That's right. See,
Right.
she knows what's up.
Right.
Yeah,
If you're getting a
absolutely.
hold of them and they're annoyed because you're the 10th school that called, which it wouldn't be, it may maybe be third. My
Right.
answer is, why weren't you the first?
Yeah, you should, if you need to be a little quicker on the draw, like,
Yeah.
get in there quicker.
Get in there. I think that's fun. That's great. Another thing that BSD now offers, which you guys don't need it because you do have a CRM, but if you don't have a good CRM or a CRM at all, you can send an auto text message for free from BSD. So you can have it say something along the lines of, great news, you've just been matched with Bellus Academy. Someone will be reaching out to you shortly. In the meantime, check out this video. We have an amazing cosmetology program. You can do that at no extra charge with BSD. We allow our clients to do that. So you'd be surprised, Wendy. I know you guys have a CRM, but about half the schools out there aren't using one. So if you're not using one, take advantage of that.
Yeah, that's crazy to me to not use a CRM, but
yeah,
you
it
know,
definitely makes your life easier. And
yeah.
so, and to me, that's probably your best way of seeing what leads are being worked. And again, I know your team, I know how you are. I think what I love about you guys so much is that you actually care. Like you said, if someone doesn't show up and you book the appointment, you're probably like, did they show up? I remember that from you guys. You're
Yeah.
like, did that person show up? I had a
Yeah.
conversation with them.
Well, especially some of these people, you can get them on the phone and like they want to chit chat. Some people, and you're like, okay, we gotta get you the appointment. And then if they no show after all of that, we're like,
Yes, yes.
why? So yeah, we take it personal.
I think that's great. Wendy, I know you've worked in a couple of CRMs. Let's talk about CRMs because there's a question about what CRM has worked well for admissions. And then I can go ahead and suggest several out there. Well, let me start with that and you tell me what you've had experience with, of course. Campus Login is a very popular one that you guys currently use, correct?
We currently use Campus
And you
Login.
like the way that system works where you can see everything.
Yeah, I do. Overall, my experience with CRMs, we've used Campus Login and Lead Square. My favorite out of the two, because that's the only two I've used, is Campus Login. I prefer it. I just like the way it's set up visually. I feel like things are easier to find. Reports and call lists are easier to run. That's just me personal.
And so those are two options out there. Another option, and Sam actually already put it in the chat, it's one that a lot of our members use, is Illumina. I love Illumina because they just started video chats, like video messages. You can send a video message straight to someone,
awesome.
Message, which, I really think is the future of admissions.
Yeah.
People absolutely love that. Thanks, Sam, for the shout out there. I do love Illumina is another great one. Velocify, I'm not really sure if they're taking on current clients. Verity IQ is another one that I've heard really good things about. Someone just mentioned HubSpot. I know 3 school owners that use HubSpot. I know several that use Salesforce. So there's several out there. My advice to you is just to demo them. Demo all of them, ask them who they work with in the beauty school space, and then call up that owner or that admissions director and just say, like, what has your experience been? What has your frustration been? I will tell you, there's not a perfect one out there. There just isn't.
Right. Yeah. You're gonna have some glitches with all of them. So try to find the one that aggravates you the least.
Exactly. Try that out, but definitely talk to other schools and see what they're using. We are sitting right at 10 minutes left.
How did this go by so fast?
I know. They always do.
Yeah,
they always do.
crazy.
I feel like you blink and it's over. I just want to make sure we're giving time for people to ask questions. So if you guys have a question for Wendy, Wendy has 15 years of admissions experience. She's happy to answer, I know, anything to do with admissions. Wendy, let me ask you, what is your, if you don't want to share it, that's fine. But here's my question. What is like your magic icebreaker text message question to get someone to respond to you?
Well, it depends. If it's like if it's a new lead, then I always just like, hey, I got your request for info, like, kind of a let's chat kind of a thing. If it's somebody that has been sitting in the system. One that I like to use is something along the lines of like, hey, I'm still waiting to hear back from you about, and for some reason that line gets people to respond. I don't know why, but there's something about like, hey, I'm still waiting to hear back from you, that for some reason makes people want to text
The
back.
guilt trip,
So
that's what it is. You're like, oh crap, my
yeah,
bad.
exactly. Yeah, but you have to do it in a nice way, so you're not like, you haven't text me back yet, I have the example.
Would not suggest sending like a ghost emoji that says, where'd you go? Making someone did that to me on LinkedIn. Like you ever add someone on LinkedIn and they're just like we're not even friends. I don't even know you. And you're just sending me sales pitches. And someone was doing that, like these back-to-back sales pitches. And then they sent me a ghost emoji and they're like, where'd you go? And I was like, what? Block. That's not going to happen.
No. Yeah. So we don't usually send
nothing passive aggressive. Okay.
Yeah. And then I also have like a third text message that's a little bit more like, hey, like if I haven't heard anything from them, just like, hey, like no pressure. Like one of the things I put in there is like, hey, no pressure, no obligation. Like, let's just, see if we're a good fit for you. And so I'll send that out kind of like my third time to try. And usually I'll get some kind of response most of the time, whether it's like, I've just been busy, I'm still thinking about it, or I'm not ready or something. I don't care. If I get a response, I'm like, that means they're still interested. Like,
absolutely.
Until they say like, take me off your list, I'm like, okay, this is gonna,
You will notice that Wendy never said a good text message is, when do you have time to jump on the phone? We're not driving people to phone calls. You're just, the goal of the text is to get a response. You just want someone to respond so that you can have a conversation, so that you can pick it to a tour, so that they'll show up for a tour. And that is why out of all the leads they get, 60% are booking appointments and 75% are showing.
Yeah, and our show rates are even better for this year. We're like at 78%. So.
Wow, that's phenomenal. That is so exciting. Lastly, because no one's popping in questions, so I'm just going to ask them. So if you guys have more, put them in. But I have been hearing historically for the past 3 years from beauty schools that Estee's been bestie, Cosmo's been really hurting. And then something happened, I don't know, this year where I'm hearing different things, that like Estee's finally kind of leveling off, Cosmo's finally starting to rise again. I would like to know what you guys are seeing with trends with programs, because you offer them all. You have the makeup, nails, barbering, Cosmo, Estee.
Yeah. So definitely the SD has been like top of the list, and it's still really high up there. But the laws in California changed. So to get a cosmetology license, it went from 1,600 hours to 1,000 hours. So I think for some people, now we still offer an advanced program that's 1,500 hours, and then we offer the 1,000-hour program. But I think what offering like a smaller program for Cosmos too has gotten people more interested. So if they think about like, oh, well, I can obtain my cosmetology license now in 1,000 hours versus, it used to be 1,600, that at least gets them interested more in Cosmo. And so a lot of times we can still get them enrolled in that advanced program once we have their interest peaked enough to tell them like, well, hey, since you're interested in the 1,000 hours, let's talk about what the extra 500 hours will do for your career once you finish. And so it's a way to open up the door and get them interested back into Cosmo. Now, some people will just want the 1,000 hours, and that's okay. I mean, if that's at the end of the day where they go, I'd rather them do it at Bellus than anywhere else, right? So they're still going to get a great education with 1,000-hour program. But I feel like that has helped shift. Nails are still extremely popular. We just opened a PM program again at our Poway campus. So we've got AM and PM, Chula Vista, and our Poway campus. That's still really popular. And we're getting ready to launch we're bringing back our master makeup artistry program. So that
Oh,
is
you
on
are your 600 hour, your 602-hour program.
602 hours. That's getting ready to launch at all the campuses in California in September. So so that will be really interesting to see,
Makeup is hot. It always has
yeah.
been, especially the past few years. But that's interesting that the 1,000 hours less. I mean, yeah, you can, what is it, 9 months now?
Yeah.
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 So it's a shorter program.
Yeah.
Nails, by the way, happens to be one of our top searches on Beauty School's directory. So one of the things I do like about our directory is if you're doing great on SD, cool, kill it. Just buy Cosmo leads from us. Or like Tracy said, maybe she needs some more makeup leads. Like, we are happy to customize exactly what we deliver to you. You can choose whatever program you want to buy. So, but you guys have them all there. How's your barbering program doing? Are you guys still getting a good flow of leads for that?
Yeah, we are. And we're actually getting ready to, because we just launched our barbering program at our Kansas campus. And so everyone everyone's doing a new ribbon cutting ceremony out there, I think on Monday next week. So so that's doing great. And it's doing great in California as well. And it's just barbering, it just continues to build. And I think it's just getting people more aware of what all is in barbering and what that, it's not, yes, it's mostly focuses on men's hair cutting and male grooming and things like that. But, there's it's great because it drives more men into the schools, but it's also great to see women going into what has traditionally been, more, male dominated in terms of that. So it's fun to see people come in and people be excited and people be inspired. And that's really what we do, right? We try to keep people motivated and inspired, and it helps us. And so my favorite thing is just talking to new potential students and just hearing their dreams and their goals, and then kind of seeing them from start to finish. And I've got people that I'm friends with that I enrolled 15 years ago, and they're doing great. And so it's its own reward. So
that definitely
industry.
keeps you going. Well, this has been exciting. I love to see that you're still so passionate about the job. Bellus does a great job inspiring their reps. They do annual retreats in fun places, which also keeps them coming back. And I know that's something that you love doing, right? Because then you get to see the team in person. So that is great.
Yeah, it's really important to have those yearly retreats where we just all get to be together, have a good time, eat some good food, laugh, joke, just really bond. And especially for those of us that are, in other places and, working from home, it's nice to have that time together to just,
there's nothing like a Bellus retreat at a spa where we all get massages and then we all go to the hot tub after. It's just so fun. Some of my best memories are at the Bellus retreat. So that's so exciting.
Absolutely.
Well, I loved having you on today. I know our attendees loved it. Just a reminder, everyone will receive a recording to this first thing in the morning. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks to the Bellus Academy team for allowing us to pick Wendy's brain. And thank you, Wendy, for being here. You're so much fun.
Oh my gosh. Well, thanks for having me. It's been a blast. We love BSD, and we just continue to look forward to working with you guys. And to all the schools out there, just keep at it. Good luck. Admissions team, hang in there. You got this.
Hang in there, guys. Thank you guys so much. You guys have a great day. We'll see you guys next month.
Bye.